Okay.
That's much better.
Welcome everyone. Since not so many people, it would be awesome, I think, if you could quickly say who you are and where you're from.
Okay, so I'm Larkin and I live in France. Should I say something about the project I'm working on? Or?
Noircier Wikipédia.
Yeah, Noircier Wikipédia.
That's a little bit the equivalent of Afro crowd in the US. So writing about black people.
France.
France. And?
I'm Vera from the Netherlands. I do gender gap things I've got a monthly writing meetup at the Feminist Library of Amsterdam.
Okay.
And I'm an active volunteer myself.
Adelaide.
I'm Adelaide, I'm from France, and I work on diversity projects at Wikimedia France, which counts Lingua Libre, Wikifranca, which is something we work on with 14 other chapters in the user groups, and also just regional languages in France as well.
Okay, my username is Atonian. You can say Jonathan is the first name. I'm from France. I do a lot of rapid grants in French Wikimedia. And due to my job, I worked in the Navy. I sailed a lot in Western Africa, so I know part of Africa.
Yeah. I'm Petra, I'm from the German Wikipedia community, and I write articles on women and have organized now editathons on women's issues.
I'm Christine, I'm working for Wikimedia Germany, and I mainly work in newcomer attraction and retention, but also have a bit of diversity project.
Ina from the German community. I'm writing about women, all stuff, sports, women, whatever. So in different way, just not just from German, from other countries, if I find it.
And I'm Magnus. I'm writing mostly for Swedish Wikipedia, and also the Romanian. So.
The ancient. You are the ancient.
You'll be writing the female articles.
I'm Anja on the project. I am a long-term Wikipedian since 2009, and I'm from the Belgian chapter, and I work on gender gap and diversity issues as well.
Catherine from Germany. I contribute to Wikipedia, Wikicommons and Wikidata, and I try to add as much women-related content as I can.
Yeah, good.
I'm Alex. I'm an engineering manager. I work for the Wikimedia Foundation on the anti-harassment tools team.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm Sandra. I'm from the Wikipedia Germany as well, and I work on culture, glam a lot, and gender gap, and yeah, also trying to add a lot of women. Yeah, but also a little bit on Wikidata and on Wikicommons, but mainly glam at the moment.
I'm Ian. I'm from Wikimedia Morocco. I participated with the Her Story Gender Gap project.
Yep. Do I forgot somebody? No. So maybe our panelists can present themselves. For me, I'm Florence, so French. And the project in terms of gender gap I associated myself with is Wiki Loves Women, which we have been running since 2016, and Les Sans Pages, which is a little bit the equivalent of Women in Red, sort of a mix of Women in Red and similar in France. Yes, so let's start with the man.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam. I'm from Nigeria. I'm one of the founder members of the Nigerian user group, and I've been involved in quite a few gender gap projects like Wiki Loves Women, like the Wiki Gap, and then we had a radio program as well. And yeah, those are it.
Thanks for being here. Because there are
Thanks for having me.
some invisible people here you don't see, who of course, as usual, couldn't come because
Visa.
So thank you, Sam.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alice. I'm with the community user group from Uganda. I have participated in a number of campaigns, especially on Wikipedia and in English Wikipedia, but the ones that are specifically related to women have been the Wiki Loves Women campaign, as well as Wikigap. So I contribute in English, and I also contribute in Uganda.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Stella Sesi Agni, and I'm with Open Foundation West Africa in Ghana. I also contribute to gender issues like we have our own project which is Women of the Wiki. Yes, so changed it a bit from the Wiki Loves Women and Art and Feminism, just to have a little spice that makes it our own. Yeah, and then I also do GLAM, and I try to do translations in my local language as well.
Hi everyone.
My name is Erin Omkuta from Uganda. I'm part of the Wikimedia user of Uganda. Yeah, we did Wiki Loves Women in Uganda last year. We did Wikigap, but yeah, we're also women in a user group that's trying to grow and invite more women in our user group. So it's great to be here.
Hi everyone. I am Isla. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, and I have been working with Florence on a number of initiatives across Africa, including Wiki Loves Women. So Wiki Loves Women, as you can see, has been in several spaces, and we started it in order to bridge the gender gap in Africa. And I don't know if it's good time for me just to walk into the slides, yes?
Yeah, to just set up the context.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right, so as we know, there's a problem with gender representation and how Wikipedia reflects the world. So just to remind everyone, because sometimes we forget about kind of how dire this position can be. This is a slide that was created by the Oxford Internet Institute at Oxford University by Martin Dieters and others, Mark Graham and others. And it basically shows a geographical representation of all of the coverage of Wikipedia articles. And all of the articles that are within this section outnumber all of the articles outside of this section. So it doesn't even include like fairly heavy coverage in America, North America, sorry. So yes, and as you can see, it's fairly white on the African continent, for lack of a better term of representation. So how does this basically work out? It means that when people don't see themselves reflected, they're less likely to contribute because they can't see the reasons for engagement because it feels like they've been left out. So they're more likely to walk away. And especially in Africa, there are a lot less contributors. So the majority of the articles have been, there are other slides, the majority of the articles have been created by people outside of Africa through various reasons. Historically, I know that it only spans 18 years, but until fairly recently, that was the case. And it's due to a whole range of issues, access, technology, but some of the big things are colonialized minds, the way that people don't feel that that they have the right to say something and that what they say will be inferior to what somebody else says. And a lot of that is embedded within the education systems because, of course, their products are colonizers. And that hasn't been changed significantly. I mean, it is starting to be, but it hasn't kind of, the confidence of people, and especially women, to write about themselves and stand up in the spotlight and take that spotlight is very difficult in several cultures and countries. And this does reflect also in the way then that how notable people are reflected on Wikipedia. So of all of the biographical entries on Wikidata about women. There's only 0.3, well, about anybody, there's only 0.318% that reflect African women. This was extracted last year. But as you can see, this is the male aspect, still lower than everybody else. Well, this is South Asia, and this has been organized according to gender and per culture. So it's not necessarily just about Europe versus North Africa versus whatever. It's actually about kind of culture and cultural specificity. So there's Catholic, European, and Orthodox, and Islamic, but also Africa, just to show how it's reflected.
Let me just insert one thing in case you have other ideas. As far as I know, there are currently 3 tools that allow us to have some interesting data related to gender gap on our project. So there's this one, the they changed their name.
WIGI.
WIGI index that has been done from we made a request by Max, and Max is here, Max Klein. There is a Denis tool hosted by Wikimedia France.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that also gives some information. And as far as I know, there was also a tool that was done by the German chapter related to gaps, where we can find some information on gender. That's not the goal, but that's it. Do you know of any other tool? Just taking the opportunity in case.
Because it is very difficult to reflect the gaps.
It's
it's hard to see the
trying to collect some
the space in between.
If you're aware of other tools that other people might have developed, please.
Swedish Wikipedia is categorizing gender, which is, I think that's not very common.
Well, it would be very interesting to talk to them, because it is difficult for us to present. We can say, we can talk about the problem like we're talking about it now, but it is in quite broad terms, and it doesn't it's like looking at a forest and trying to see the spaces between the trees, basically.
But let's move on.
Okay. So, how does this reflect on notable women? It doesn't reflect well. So, celebrating women or creating a platform, or not creating a platform, but creating a body of easily accessible articles that celebrate women locally is very difficult. Purely because in some countries, like say Zimbabwe, many women who are doing unbelievably excellent work, do not want to be in the limelight. So they don't want to, because they're worried about what the repercussions are from a security point of view, and especially what the government will think about if they're slightly activistic. That's an example. In other examples, there just isn't reflected in the local media women of excellence. It's always men. It's in many cases, it's a very patriarchal society. And I understand I'm generalizing, please. There's many cultures and many specifics here. But even in somewhere that is as supposedly liberal as South Africa, men are typically featured much higher, experts of equal standing. It's more often men who are reflected than women are. There's an amazing project in Zimbabwe again, where they create expert lists and send them to radio stations and TV and broadcast journalists, so that when they are looking for experts, say on climate change, or when they're looking for experts into female health, they don't just go to the same ones they know all the time, but they have other options that are female, who are women. And I think that's actually a great thing. That's something that perhaps we can also start working on. But if you don't have the information about women, or don't have the quotes from women within the press, it's very difficult to write about articles about them, because we need citations and we need references in order to make them to show that they are notable. So it can be a very big problem. One of the ways that we have tried to navigate this is to create Wiki Loves Women, which is now in 6 countries, and see what they are. So Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Nigeria, and Ghana were the first cohort, which started in 2016 and ended in 2017, but has been going in their own capacity. So they've adapted and changed and moved it into something that's more relevant locally. And the same has been happening in 2018, where in 2018 we started with Uganda and Tanzania. Sadly, the guys from Tanzania aren't here because of, well, it wasn't visa actually, they didn't get scholarships. So there's, they didn't even get to that stage. They tried 2 different scholarship application processes and they didn't get through. So yeah, there's a difficulty in them being represented here anyway. But and the way that the model works within Wiki Loves Women is that it's a kind of a glam mess up. So what we do is we have asked different groups or individuals to work with gender equality or activate groups and civil society organizations in their area to work with them on different aspects of gender, of female experience, and also to work with other networks like writers, hubs, or places like the Goethe Institute, which has actually supported all of these by providing spaces for places for the editathons and for events to happen. But that's just the basis behind it. I think we should just get on to more interesting. Oh, and just to make sure that together we are actually making an impact. The rise of projects across Africa and the proliferation of, through those projects, of user groups across Africa as well. Last year, Martin Dietis and Mark Graham from the Oxford Internet Institute, sorry, I do quote them a lot because they do amazing research into this kind of stuff. Again, it's one of the only ways we can see. As you can see, they say these initiatives are starting to show their effects. We analysed the most recent data that we could find, comparing the numbers of articles written about Europe and Africa, and saw something remarkable. Instead of 20 European articles for every African one, the gap is reduced to 10 to 1. So at least that is something. I'm not saying it's specifically to Wiki Loves Women, but it is something that is starting, the effort is starting to shift the balance in some way. Yes?
Just a very quick question. The number of 20 articles to 1, when is that from?
It's from their research that they do. I put the link. You can read the...
What year?
Yeah,
I mean, when...
So it was 2018 when he wrote this article.
So in 1 year...
No, I think it's from previous work where I think the last time they did that kind of was 2015. I think 2014, 2015 was when they initially published their first thing. So Martin Dietis gave the keynote last year, and this was one of the things that he referred to.
The slides are linked on the session.
You can see here that this is basically the curve, the amount of geotagged articles relative to Europe and Asia. It doesn't necessarily, this isn't reflecting biographies, by the way. This is reflecting articles that have a geotag. And you can see the curve and the peak here. It's going up.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Just wanted to. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Can I just add something? Like, there's something that strikes me when I see the map of the countries participating to this project, that it seems to be mostly English-speaking African countries.
Well, actually not. So both Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire are not.
What happened, looking how we started it, is we got some money from the Goethe Institute, and at that time we chose 4 countries based on contacts we already had in countries. So there was Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire, and I have one slide for each of those countries because they couldn't come. So it was George in Cameroon and Dominique Eliane in Cote d'Ivoire. And the 2 other countries were Nigeria and Ghana. And after that, we got a new grant from the Wikimedia Foundation. We could do 2 additional countries, and in this case, we did 2 English ones.
We also wanted to, we had concentrated very heavily on West Africa for the first round.
Yeah.
So we wanted to change the dynamics, and we wanted to work with and expand the the skill sets and the kind of the capacity building of the current groups that exist within Tanzania and Uganda, which is why they're here. But also it's to do that, to encourage that. But if we had tried to specifically look for a split, there isn't a current group in either Burundi or Rwanda, so we couldn't. It was better to work with the people that we already know and an existing presence than to start from the beginning and try and find and encourage and
There was a conclusion from other project we made. If it had been in others, I would try now probably Mali and Senegal, but yeah, okay. So I have 2 slides just for Dominique, Eliana and George. Well, sorry they cannot be there, but they normally both of them should be at the Francophone Convention, I think. So this is from Yacine, so Dominique, Eliane. This is some pictures of the group. And essentially, they have renamed the project after we finished Wikilove Women. They created their own initiative with what they wanted to do, so it's really a follow-up. And their initiative, I forgot to put the name of the initiative, that's Wikimuso. So if some of you follow it, Wikimuso. They do a lot training about women. So that's probably why you mostly see women there. And they work quite a lot this year with Wikidata.
What does Wikimuso mean?
Muso is women in another language, but I don't remember which one.
I know that in Bambara it also means woman in Mali, but so I guess it's the same.
Yeah,
just Wiki Women, but in another.
I know it means women. I know it means women, and they considered it was nicer to have it in their own name. So yeah, so they do mostly some editathon, some training, but they focus quite a bit on Wikidata this year. With some good results. Now I'm just wondering because Dominique Eliane happened to just move to live in France. So what the future is, I don't know. In Cameroon, the project Wikilove Women was spearheaded by George. So he sent me a couple of a little bit of information. So it was in 2016. In his case, they kept the same name. They continue with the name. They mostly train women, but they also joined some international drives, such as the Inter-Wiki Women collaboration, where they translated articles, and they participated to Warrant and Feminism. And they are actually, so it was a bit unclear to me what he said, and I'm expecting to ask him at the convention what he meant exactly, but apparently he is planning to split the user group to start a new one in Buea, or Buea, right, the name of the city. And in this case, it will be mostly launched with the women he trained. So more news to come, which is, it was not so clear. And then let's give the floor to Irina and Alice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've already said my greetings. Please let me know if my voice isn't loud enough. We participated in Wikilove's Women, or we contributed to that project when it was piloted in our country, and I contributed to it in very many ways, but I'm just going to let you know what it is that we faced and the existing situation and how we were able to surmount those challenges. So as you can see, those pictures, Wikipedia is a mirror of the world's gender biases, and then Donna Strickland down there. This problem is known even at the higher levels, yeah? So people weren't documented, and much as we know that that's the problem that was existing, in our particular context, there was limited coverage of women in all various media formats. Remember, we come from a society where everything is oral, so achievements are documented orally, people pass on with that knowledge, and even the formats that exist address it very haphazardly. And then in the formats that this information was documented, there was a lack of variety. Everybody that was being documented, you know, it was very selective. They tend to address or profile females who are in fields that are associated, traditionally associated with success, So you're not going to find mention of maybe a great dancer or a great music producer, but you're going to find information about, let's say, a doctor, an engineer, and a lawyer. But these are not the only women who are achieving and who are notable, yeah? And then the last one also was the partnerships. Even by then, everybody was doing everything in isolation, and we needed to bring people together to a central thing, to a central point, and have them write about a common thing, yeah? And so when the project came, this is how we began executing it. That's me. Everything is about me. That's me in the corner. Yeah. So for whatever it is that we had, we wanted to collate it and, you know, make it comprehensive. It wouldn't make sense for us to now recruiting people to our cause and then there's nothing to go by it. So for very many of the editathons, we created and contributed to consultative lists because people knew this information, but it was scattered. And information searches can be very hard when there's no internet, or even when people don't have that much information literacy. You know, Google searches are really something that needs to be addressed. And some of the ones that we used as examples were Women in Red, everybody knows that. And then personally, we also created a list of women, those that had existing articles, those that did not have, those whose articles needed improvement, and then we categorized them into sections, like maybe these are racial minorities, maybe these are people in the legal section, these are diplomatic corps, and that kind of thing. So now we begin addressing the gap of the professions and the notability. And then for the very first time, we were able to use radio. Appearing or being a guest on radio is expensive, but thanks to our sponsors, we were able to get some airtime. So for the people that say, oh, we can't use social media, we are not technically literate, then here we are talking about it. And not just talking about it in English, but speaking about it in a language that you understand. So your queries can be understood in Luganda or whichever language, in whichever part of the country we appeared on radio. And then we also had editathons that targeted specific professional demographics. Just to go back to where I said it's always the fields that are traditionally associated with success that are covered, yeah? So again, you're not going to find, let's say, dancers or people in the music industry or in the film industry. So what we will do now is, let's say, you know, there's an association for cinema or cinema producers. Those are the individuals we partner with because these people know their people in there. And we invite them in the editathons, okay, please, who do you know? And they'll say, oh, there was this lady who existed, this is what she did, this is her work in the catalog. They even know the sources. So that is how we're able to execute the project, and then identifying and forming both long and short-term partnerships. Some of the partnerships unfortunately had a lot of drama, but then there were some that were also very, very fruitful, and we made them with both individuals and with both organizations. And you can see Wikigap, that's an ongoing partnership. The Swedish Embassy in Kampala coordinates Wikigap on behalf of Wikimedia Sweden, and that's something that's very fruitful because we have campaigns within the campaign that target exactly what it is that we want to. And then some partnerships were with individuals who had access to a greater network. And so these are our results. I don't have the numbers with me, but I'll be able to share the links. So there was increased enrollment and participation of editors. It would be a good thing if the editors were female, but at this point, we just want people to contribute to the quality and improve it. So anybody was welcome. And in some of our editathons, actually, we had more male editors than female editors. So we experienced an increased enrollment of editors, and they've also been participating in other campaigns. And then we were able, because we were targeting some demographics, we were able to enroll people and individuals in things or areas that we had previously never ever thought of interacting with. So these are people maybe in the humanities and in the arts. There's a long story about how we perceive people in humanities and arts in Uganda, so please ask me about that after here. And then editors are able to contribute in Uganda, so we spread the reach. So it was not just about contributing in English. If you could not contribute in English but you had a working knowledge of English, then you're able to translate. But even if you're not able to translate, you can immediately begin writing in Uganda. So for the people who say, okay, I'm not able to read English, there's the option for you in the language that you understand. So the reach is spread. So if I'm not able to read, let's say, about Erina in English, I can read about her in a language that I understand, and this makes her more relatable. And then it was also spread over the country. One of the issues that we have is we're mainly based in Kampala, and I highlighted this Wikidata in Mbarara because from Kampala to Mbarara, it's a town in the west of the country, and it's quite a distance away. I mean, the journey is around 4 or 6 hours, and these are people that we don't even, when you're in the city, you don't think that there are people up country who know what they know. You don't even acknowledge their local knowledge of the people that are living with them in their societies. These are their mothers, their aunties, and their heroines, and that kind of thing. So because we were able to be guests on radio in different parts of the country, we were then able to get a foot into recruiting editors and holding editathons there. And then people also were under the impression that Wikipedia is just Wikipedia. People don't make the distinction between Wikimedia and Wikipedia. So when they say, oh, contribute to a wiki, they always think of Wikipedia. But that's not the only place you can contribute in. So we had, especially Wikidata is what we use because it's much simpler. I also prefer it a lot. So, yeah, I do. It is so easy. You could make, let's say, 50 entries a day if you're not working.
Even if you work.
Okay, so we were able to highlight other Wikimedia projects. So if you're not able to contribute to Wikipedia, you don't have that vocabulary, you don't have that sort of knowledge, you don't have that sort of technical expertise, to evaluate an information resource, all that sort of technicality, then please use Wikidata. I'm not saying that it's for the dense people, but it really helps. And then redefinition of partnerships. We were under the impression.
Do not. You will need to close.
Close.
Otherwise, no Ghana friends, no Nigeria.
No. This is my last point. Yeah, and then the redefinition of partnerships, because we always had this traditional, pen and paper partnerships describing this and that. There's a place for that, but then most of our best collaborations and partnerships actually came from individuals who knew what they were doing or who had access to a wider network and could give us the privilege of working with the network that they had. So that is all for us in Uganda, or from us in Uganda. And
Thank you very much, and I should really, Erina and Alice are working both together, and you did a wonderful job this year. It's really great.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. So, Stella.
Yeah.
I think you're.
Yeah. Yes. So before I go into the women of the wiki, I would like to say that we actually have done other projects like Wiki Meets Girls, where we went to secondary schools in Ghana to train secondary school girls in high school. Let me use that word rather. Girls in high school on how to use Wikipedia or edit. Then as usual, we did the Wiki Loves Women as well with Isla for about 2 years, I guess, and more. Yes, before we decided to just change the name to fit into a context that we could probably relate to more, which is the Women of the Wiki in Ghana. So we also, basically, I think when I was listening to Alice, I could identify with almost all the things she said, because content gap actually is a big problem for us. I've been saying that it looks like our media houses are more interested in news that sell, like news that sell, satire, and very irrelevant things than more of academic things. And they really invest more in men, writing more about male-related topics than about women. Because I tried writing about a professor in the University of Ghana, and I went on and I realized that apart from LinkedIn and University of Ghana website, no other person had talked about this woman. I'm like, but this woman is doing very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. She's teaching, she's a professor. We have a professor in Twi in our local language, and nobody's writing about this woman. So how do we, write articles about her on Wikipedia? And she's not the only one. There are other women out there that's in Ghana that people are not talking about, or newspaper portals are not talking about. It's basically about, yes, the president went here, this man is doing this man is doing that. But when it comes to women, zero. The only thing you might get about probably is about entertainment. I think we love entertainment in Ghana. It's basically more entertainment. Yes, this lady has done this, this woman has won this, and as far as I'm concerned, that's very relevant stuff, but this is where we are. Then the other issues about notability issues as to at a point gets to the point where you have to identify who is actually notable, which woman should actually be put out there. And sometimes you write about it on the wikis and it is deleted or contested for deletion. I was complaining yesterday that I wrote about a female parliamentarian. She is in parliament. She is notable as far as I'm concerned. But somebody just stabbed the article for speedy deletion because in his or her view, that woman is not notable. This, as far as I'm concerned, is my country. I speak for my people. And I believe that as far as she's in parliament, and the fact that she's the first woman who has actually come out of that particular parliamentary seat to have won since Ghana gained independence, for me was a notable thing, or deserved actually to be written about. And somebody tagged it for speedy deletion, which I felt offended over. But I decided not to contest it because I sometimes feel it's too much work when you have to write to somebody who does not understand you from your point of view. Then another issue is about interest for volunteerism, especially when it comes to our women. I think we are more interested in other things than actually volunteering our time to do stuff for ourselves, or to speak for ourselves, or to write about ourselves. Because at the end of the day, you call for an editor turn, and this is like a typical example where I wanted to actually use a picture of the previous year and this year. The previous year, the men actually thought, oh, it's because it's for women, so they also decided to just stay back. So the next one, we decided that we told them that no, you can also speak for us. We don't necessarily have to do that ourselves. We need more men out there to also say, yes, women should have a voice, women should be talked about, women deserve to be written about. So we invited some of our male friends who decided to join us for that particular event. And I would say that even after we did this, we had more content written, more more content written on women, more references added to some of these articles than we had in previous years, because we actually invited men who came in with their knowledge and their interest in ensuring that women-related topics or issues are talked about on the wikis. And then the issue of time, as far as women are concerned, yeah, I have a baby, I'm a mother. Yes, it is true, but sometimes we should also try, embrace these things and then come for events and help out to ensure that we are ahead.
Bring the baby. I remember
Bring the baby
Erina brought the
along,
baby.
yes.
Yeah.
Talking about me.
Yes, bring the baby along. We could create space where we could
Yeah,
have, you know,
have some-
somebody play with the kids and
Yeah.
do that.
Assign someone.
So this is here's what we came up with, or we tried. So like I said, we started the campaigns very early using social media, our websites, Twitter, Facebook, all social media portals, WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group where we share information there. We have mentoring teams. So for experienced editors, we have a group where we have our mentees, and then we think you should come for this program. This will be effective. Sometimes even if they are not in Accra, we tend to pay for them to come from whatever regions to come to Accra, or we encourage them over there to also participate online rather than coming to join us in Accra to do some of this events. Then also for new contributors, before the event, we do research on notable women and provide links to them so that it makes learning for them easier. So what we do is amongst ourselves as a team, we go online, look at articles that have not been talked, or women have not been talked about, notable women have not been talked about. We look for links like sources that are out there. We correlate them. So when we come for the event, we share those links amongst the women or whoever is a participant for that event. So whilst we're teaching you how to do it, you have the links, you have access to this, the Google Doc document, so that you can also use this as a way of learning. Yeah, so that we don't have to come and then we're telling you, okay, because you need to do this, which topic do you want to write about? So we give you topics to write about the first day, so that you can use that to practice. Then after that, when you go back home, you can continue. Then we also invited friends in the media so that they also understand what we go through, especially when we need references to cite some of these articles or records on women. So we invite them to come for the editathons or whichever thing we want to do, and tell you, okay, now what do you think? We deliberately give you names of very, very notable women and tell you, okay, do a search on it and let's see if you can find something about this person. And they're like, she exists? Like, she's done this, she's done that. Like, yes, she has. So we need you to write about them when you go back to your newspaper agencies. Write about these people so that when we also use them, it's credible, because we know, we trust your newspaper portals to be able to do justice to some of these topics for us.
Okay, sorry, the lunch has started. I mean, you can wrap up if you like.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish.
You need to give up a little bit of time to sound.
Yes, so thank you. So this was a result. Like I said, compared to the previous year, we had more articles created and more participation. We also had more male participation as well, because they realized the need to add more content. And as well, some media houses have begun to see the importance of writing about women or projecting women on how notable they are. So that's it.
Sam, before Sam is having just not too much time. Be super efficient. You know how to do that.
I mean, time is gone, so I'm just gonna give summary of the gender gap projects that we've had in Nigeria. So, like most of the people talk about, Nigeria started with the Wikiloves Women Project, which was organized by Ella France. You can just leave it this way.
It's just the downward arrow
on the
keyboard.
keyboard.
Oh,
The other
okay.
one's on the right.
Up there.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, go on. So when we did the Wikiloves Women Project in Nigeria, we did it for about 1.5 years in 2016. Don't worry.
You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I can't, I'll just speak very quickly. During the Wikiloves Women Project, we one of the achievements I'm just going to talk about the activities we did during Wikiloves Women. Before I start, I should say that I'm not supposed to be the one here. The person who's supposed to be here didn't come. So and I'm taking his place, and that's okay. So during Wiki Lost Women, that happened in Nigeria, and we partnered with 15 organizations, and this included NGOs, over 15 organizations. This included NGOs, tech organizations, and just society groups that deal with women in Nigeria. And we tried to organize several workshops for them. We tried to tell them what the problem is when it comes to gender gap on Wikipedia, because it's bad. Like it's been said over and over. The stats do not speak well for the continent, for the world, and it's something we need to fix. So when we reach out to these organizations, we tell them what the problem is, and we tell them.
We have a minute here starting.
Okay, give us 3 minutes. Thank you. So we tell them what the problem is, and we tell them we need to, get more people, more women involved, because at the end of the day, we can't fix this content gap if the people that are contributing to Wikipedia are still men. At the end of the day, we want women to come in and write their own stories. So a quick story, when we started the Nigerian user group, it was just men. Actually, it was 3 of us. So we were guilty of, the gender disparity. And Wiki Lost Women actually was one of the projects that really, that made it obvious, like, hey, this is what we.
I'm sorry, I thought the room was closed. The room is closed.
Yeah, I thought that this 11 would be lunch. And it would be okay. Maybe you can finish it.
Yeah, we have to really have to wrap it up. Sorry.
Can you just say one sentence?
Okay. So we did that. We did some contest. We had several events, about dozens of them, with these organizations, and we this also gave back to different projects. Like we partnered with an internet radio station called Blackface Radio, whereby we had series of radio programs about women, and eventually we partnered with a View radio station where we called WFM, and weekly we invited notable women to come and discuss women related issues, and then we invite people to come to write about women related topics on Wikipedia. And we also partnered with the Swedish Embassy to organize the WikiGap project, and that we also organized a few events. And finally, because I can't talk so much, the biggest achievement that I would say we had from this is the fact that we had better women representation. Like I said, we started with just men, and with the events, they were all around 99% women. 90%. We had more women in our workshops, and of course we can't retain all of them, but we had a good amount of representation. And we had someone like Blossom, who came into the movement through one of the workshops of Wiki Lost Women, and now she started a user group in Igbo language. And we had several other women like that. We have someone like Eyitayo Alimi, who I suppose couldn't get a visa to come to Wikimedia. She was supposed to be here. So we have women doing projects, running stuff in Nigeria, and that's one of the biggest achievements for me, even more than having articles about women on Wikipedia. So yeah, that's summary of all.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Next time. Please leave the room to.
Yes, please.